Hello, can you hear us now?
Hear but no sound.
I'm hoping that you can now get sound. I'll go back a slide there and we'll just start again. Sorry about that. This technology is quite new to us. It's fantastic technology. We're very, very grateful to Clive Smileawi for setting this up. So welcome to the Smileawi Lockdown 2020 webinar. That's it. We're no longer talking into the ether. We're now actually talking to our audience. That's nice. Welcome to Smileawi Lockdown webinar. We're going to be talking to you today about Smileawi. Smileawi is a dental charity and we work basically in Malawi. This is where we're talking to you from, the Holly's dental practice. I was saying while we were muted that downstairs in this building is our dental surgery, which is actually all locked up at the moment, as you would imagine, as all dental surgeries are across the country. And upstairs, we're in the flat above. So we're 2 rooms from the right there as you're looking out. Very blue sky as you look at that picture. Not the same view out this window, I might tell you. It's looking rather grey, a bit cloudy, but at least it's dry. So what do we do? Well, Smileawi, first thing we do is we facilitate groups of self-funded volunteers to go out to Malawi and work out there in free pain clinics. On this slide, it actually says UK volunteers, but just prior to going on air, we remembered, we've taken a Dutch volunteer already and a couple of Irish ones. So we've now expanded beyond UK volunteers, and let's go as far as to say European volunteers. What else do we do apart from carrying out those pain clinics? We also promote oral health.
No sound or vision, says in the
We promote oral health. We support Malawian dental therapists. Contact them. The way we support our Malawian dental therapists, will actually go into quite a lot of detail about that later on. We also recruit and fund the training of Malawians to become dental therapists. We don't just pay their fees. There's only one Malawian dental therapy school, that's in the capital, Lilongwe, and most of the dental therapy trainees come from elsewhere in the country. So what we do with them is we tend to fund their training, and we also fund some living expenses for them. We fundraise to support our activities, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about the fact that we also help to repair and maintain hospital vehicles. So during this presentation, we're going to look at the history of Smileawi. We're going to do that mainly through a sort of timeline. We're going to talk about some of the achievements that we have had, and we're going to go into a little bit of depth about our plans for the future. The story seems to start, if you look at the slide, in 2012, but I guess it actually started before that. Right about 2011, I had a patient in my chair, and he's quite happy to be named. His name is John Chalice, and John was sitting in the chair. I was going through his medical history, and he happened to mention that he had been taking anti-malarials. So I said, that's interesting. Why were you taking anti-malarials? Well, it transpired he had been in Africa. More specifically, he had been in Malawi, and more specifically still, he'd actually been in the town of Livingstonia, and he and his son had been building a dental surgery. So I was very interested in that, and so he said, well, look, why don't you come out and see it? Well, at this point in 2011, we couldn't. We still had one child who was at home. So I said, right, we'll come out with you in 2012 because this one child was going to go to university. So I think the story he claims anyway, this is our son, claims that on the 4th of September he went to university, and the 6th of September we flew out to Malawi. It probably is about right. So we went out there, and we were, both of us, overwhelmed by the level of poverty in the country. We couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe how poor the quality of the infrastructure to provide dentistry was. And the thing that we really couldn't believe was how short they were in workforce. So to put you in the picture, the population of Malawi is approximately 18 million. There are approximately 100 dental therapists spread across that 18 million people. And then additional to that, there are a further 30 or so dentists. The majority of the dentists are in the two main cities. In the south, they're in Blantyre, and in the central region, they're in the capital, Lilongwe. There are only two in the northern region in Mzuzu, and it's the northern region that Smileawi does most of its work. So what did we see when we were there? We saw some big signs of dental disease. On the left-hand picture there, you can see a 3-year-old, dental abscess and 4 grossly carious anterior teeth, beg your pardon. Central picture, primary school aged child, rampant caries. And on the furthest right picture, there's an adult with an externally draining sinus. We've now seen, we're trying to work out how many, we've probably seen into double figures sinuses draining out through the skin. Something you just don't see in this country, but it's really quite common in Malawi because there's such a lack of provision of treatment. So when we got home in 2012, we had a bit of a decision to make. We could either write a cheque to the Raven Trust saying, I hope that helps you with your dental surgery. We could have just ignored it altogether. I don't think that was something anyone would be very likely to do. Or we could get more involved. We decided we would get more involved. So at this stage, we went out under the auspices yet again of the Raven Trust. And 3 of us went out, Vicky and I, and in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a retired GP from Dunoon, Dr. Alan Thompson. He came out to act as our dental nurse, a very good dental nurse he turned out to be. In advance of that, we actually sent out some equipment. So you can see in the bottom left-hand side as well, there's a little burner with a pressure pot on it. Alan's holding up a syringe, and there's a blue chair. That's a dented portable dental chair, something that you really can't carry out dentistry in this sort of environment without. So that was the first one we ever sent out. We tried a number of different things. The top right hand picture, you can see Vicky bravely applying fluoride varnish to a young patient. We did that for about 300 or so patients. It was messy, it was difficult, and to this day I'm still not convinced just how useful it was. However, we gave it a go. We also, in the middle, you can see we handed out some toothbrushes, and we gave a lesson to the youngsters about brushing their teeth.
I think Clive needs to go and have a coffee, please, Clive, and wake up a bit and listen to this important webinar.
Clive fell asleep. Too much whiskey during Mike Gow's webinar. Very good, Clive. Wakey, wakey. So 2013 was a success. We saw a good number of patients, and we decided that we would keep doing it, but on the small scale that we had done in 2013. So in 2014, we sent out an extra chair. This meant that we now had 2 dented chairs, as you can see from the top right-hand picture. In the centre picture, I'm hoping Anibale Koya can now hear. He said he was listening on the phone, but no sound or vision. I'm hoping he can see that's the autoclave that he donated back in 2014, that the Raven Trust sent out in one of their containers, and that was it being used at one of the mission hospital sites. On the left, you can see a picture of Vicky and I surrounded by a group of dental therapists in a really nice setting. This is St John of God Conference Centre, and what we did as early as 2013 was we started running a conference for the dental therapists. The first year we went there, I think there were only 4 turned up, but as you can see, even by year 2, it was starting to be something that they were really interested in. Now, the important thing about the conference was, and the dental therapists have told us this is the first time that the Christian health mission dentists, the government dentists, and the private dentists have ever had the opportunity to get together and to talk to each other. And as a result, we have a much greater understanding of how each other's systems work, the barriers they have to overcome in order to offer treatment and so on. And it has been very valuable. We actually now run it twice every year. Perhaps not in 2020, but that's another story, a coronavirus story. 2015, we plucked up the courage to take a much bigger team out. This was by far the largest team. Instead of there just being 3 of us, we actually went out with 5 dentists and 3 dental nurses. I'm pretty certain Megan is actually in the crowd just now, and you're there in the top left-hand picture, Megan. So we did much more of the same. We spoke to school children. We travelled by boat out to more remote clinics on Lake Malawi. In the top right-hand corner, you can see a picture of us all on a boat with our life jackets on. We were travelling to a place called Charo, which can actually only be reached by boat or by walking. And so it's about a 6-hour walk. So in view of the amount of equipment we carried, we decided to take a boat. So that's us travelling. It looks a bit dull, but I can assure you it's very, very, very warm. So 2016, we finally plucked up the courage and became a charity in our own rights. And it was a very proud day when we were given our own charity number, SC046434. That's us, Smileawi. So 23rd of March 2016, we're now 4 years and a little bit since we became a charity. It has meant several differences. It's given us a great deal more control. We had been part of the Raven Trust. They were wonderful. They still are wonderful. But they are they're a Christian organisation. We're a humanitarian organisation. We want to get out there and offer dentistry to the population. And hi Megan, I see your message. So yes, we have now become a charity in our own right.
So at last I get a chance to speak, and now we are on to 2016. 2016 was the first year that we actually took 2 teams. As you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner, we were given the great pleasure of taking a well-known face with us, Alan Walker, the late Alan Walker, and we are always very proud that he counted his trip to Malawi as one of the highlights of his career. So that's him with his wife Teresa and Caroline Coughlin, who is one of Aniblia's nurses. So we went out in 2016 with this team. That was team number 1, and we spent a lot of time on the lake shore. And we've got a picture up above of one of the vehicles that we hired on that trip. Now, the roads in Malawi, for any of you who have been with us, you know for a fact that the roads are awful, potholes everywhere, and the traffic is busy. There's a lot of people on bicycles, and in our early days with the Raven Trust, we were very worried about the transport that we used. So a lot of our budget that we use is taken up by hiring decent 4x4 so that we can get to where we need to go. But you see, if you look closely, that we still have to use some of the Malawian tricks to make sure that the cars are suitable, and that we have got some bricks under the back wheels to prevent that car from running into the lake. The other thing about this shows how what happens when we arrive at a place. We arrive somewhere, people tend to be expecting us, and from the undergrowth appear lots of Malawians, big smiles on their faces, always willing to help us. So it's really good so that we don't have to lift all the equipment off the top of the cars and carry them down to wherever it is we're going. And we always got a lot of helpful people. One of the other things you'll see is our oral health message, and we try and deliver this message wherever we go, to teach the local people about what they should be doing about their oral health. Toothpaste and toothbrushes, as Nigel said earlier, I believe, are very expensive and hard to get if you live in a little village, but it's also just very important to let them know what they should be doing. We had a very enlightening experience last year when we went to the School for the Deaf with our translators who we've been using for years. And when we put up these signs, we have one that has a picture of Coca-Cola, lemonade, Sprite, Fanta. And we asked the children if they thought that this was good for their teeth or bad for the teeth. And the children that put up their hands to say that they thought was good for their teeth, George, our translator, said, no, it's not good for your teeth. It's bad for your teeth. Of course it's bad for your teeth, because if you open a lemonade bottle with your teeth, you're bound to break your teeth. Anyway, we then realised that all these years of us giving this message across had not even got to the person that was now delivering it for us. So it was a very good point, and we have gone back and we have retaught our volunteers and our translators the message about sugar. So that was Team 1 in 2016, and then Team 2, we had another group of people. We had the pleasure of one of our daughters with us, and 3 other dentists, Hannah Geller, Bushra, and Linda from Tarbert. And you'll see in the picture our Swiss Army knife dentist, a lady, Hannah, with 10 arms. And the reason we took that photo was to be used to just say how important it is that everybody that comes and volunteers is willing to use their skills, all their skills, to help us. And that's part of the thing that's very rewarding about being a volunteer with Smileawi, is that you get to use all the skills. You get to work in a team, and we can truly say that all the teams we've taken have been great teams and all work together. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see by now we have 5 dental chairs, and this is us in one of our clinics in one of the churches. Wherever we go, we have to find a space to work, and each day is a different day, and each day we go to a different place, and each day we have to recreate our clinics. And as a volunteer, you get to look walk into a church, walk into a school, walk into a health clinic and think, we need to put the chairs there, we need to put the LDU there. And it's a great process and great fun. So this is a familiar picture to any of the volunteers that we've got in the audience. This is the picture that we have in the morning when we arrive to start our clinics. If you think NHS queues are bad, then this is a sight. The other thing is that when you go home at lunchtime, this queue's still there. Obviously different people. When we come back after lunch, the queue's there, and sometimes even at the end of the day, the queue's there. And at the end of 2016, we realised that as much as we were doing good work, we were taking out lots of teeth, we were helping lots of people with their dental pain, we were a drop in the ocean, and we'd spent all our time concentrating on treating individual people and not looking at what the real issue was. So we came home and we thought we have to talk to the existing dental therapists, the existing dental personnel, and work out what they think we should do. So that meant that in 2018, can we go on to the next slide? In 2017, in May, Nigel and I took an extra trip to Malawi, just the 2 of us, and we went round all the different dental therapists that we had met at our conferences. This meant we did about 2,300 kilometres of driving around the country of Malawi, and it was fantastic. We saw some great sights, and we could really feel that we got to know what the country looked like. And we went and visited all our dental therapy friends in all their places of work. We were able to look to see the conditions that they worked in. We were able to spend time with them, listening to the problems and listening to the challenges that they have on a day-to-day basis. This picture shows a dental chair that was pretty typical of the ones that we saw. This was in Mua, which is actually in the central of the country. Most of our dental therapists are in the north, but John is one of the dental therapists from Mua, and this is where this chair was one. And this is typical. Can you imagine a chair like that passing a practice inspection? We had to replace our one of our chairs because it had a tiny wee tear in it. Can you imagine what they would say without a base on it at all? You can see it's plugged in, but the electricity was very some days it was on, some days it was off. Sometimes he could move the chair, sometimes he couldn't. And this, as I say, was a typical thing we saw, which was gobsmacking. So we're now going to look at another clinic, and this is in the Mazimba North Clinic, which is in Mazuzu. So it's a big city in the north of the country, And this was the room that had 2 dental therapists working in it. We split the picture into 2 halves. On the left-hand side is the diagnosis side of the room, where the dentist, dressed in the clinical white coat, sits the patient in the chair. You can see her mother's helping to show the dentist what the problem is. The table beside the clinician is his clean area, his dirty area, his reception area. He's got his sharps box there. So he diagnoses the patient in that chair and anaesthetises the particular tooth that is needing extracted. On the other picture, you see Mwai, who is a 6-foot dental therapist, and he is taking out the tooth of the lady who was previous to the child in the picture before. This lady needed a dental extraction and had to lie down on the chair, which was fully reclined and in the lowest position that is possible, and stuck in that position. And so this is how Mwai had to take out a tooth, and he's 6 foot tall. So every single extraction he did, he has to bend over almost 90 degrees to manage to take out a tooth. What his back is going to be like when he's at my age, I hate to think. The other thing about this is the inside of the room that they worked in. That behind that door was the corridor is the waiting room. We don't have a picture of it, and the reason we don't have a picture of it is because it was pitch dark. There was no windows in the corridor, and there was no electricity, and it was heaving with folk. Literally hundreds of people waiting to come into this surgery. It was just appalling. So after we visited all the different dentists, the dental therapists, we then had our conference, and we met together, and you can see they're all well dressed and happy. And our plan there was to speak to each of them individually and to record what they told us. We would ask them a few questions, record what they told us. Unfortunately, as you can tell from this rather crazy webinar, we are not that IT good, so we can't speak very well either, but we were not very savvy with our IT, and as much as we sat and we listened and we recorded, the sound quality on all our videos was so poor that we could not then use them for what the original plan was. However, we've taken a transcript of one of the guys, just average one. He's Bonaventure Jerry, and if you can see me on the far left, and then if you count 5 along, the guy with the white shirt just behind, he is Bonaventure Jerry, and this is what he had to say when we interviewed him. Hello, my name is Bonaventure Jerry, dental officer from Mazimba South. We have got a lot of challenges. Equipment, we have very few instruments, very few dental forceps, no autoclave, very few supplies, such as dental cartridges, dental needles, but we see a lot of dental patients. Mazimba South has over 600,000 plus patients with 2 dental officers. So that is a lot of work. It is very difficult to reach these patients. 2 dental therapists for 600,000 patients.
Yeah.
So that was the May trip, and then in September 2017 we took our biggest group as yet, and we had 2 teams of dental practice teams. We had a team from Drimmen Dental Practice, Margaret Colvin's practice, and we had a team from Belhaven Dental Practice in Port Glasgow. And we had another couple of people who came as well. Helen Patterson's there, Paul Tran. We have Martin Boot, who came all the way from Birmingham, our first English dentist.
Unlike his luggage.
Unlike his luggage, yeah, his luggage didn't appear, but that's another story. Poor Martin. So we had 2 of these great teams, and everybody gelled together. Everybody worked really hard. We were able to see lots and lots of patients. We were able to travel far and wide, and we had the best time. One of the great things about taking teams from dental practices meant that the fundraising that they did as teams was just amazing. And the competitiveness of the fundraising, Kath Jones, meant that we raised a lot of money, and it helped a lot of extra people, rather than just paying for the trip themselves. We made a lot of money that year from all the people that joined us and all their excellent fundraising. The other great thing that we had that year, our first dental therapist, Caroline, and she came along from Belhaven, and this was the first experience of a dental therapist, a Scottish dental therapist, and it was wonderful for us dentists who all, I'm sure any dentists in the audience know, don't really like taking out teeth in kids. Well, that's what Caroline did for us. She was amazing. Anytime a child arrived in the surgery, Caroline, that's your patient. And she took the time and blew bubbles at them and sang with them, and it was just fantastic. So any dental therapists out there looking to join us in the future, please feel free.
Yes, Megan.
Megan, yep. So that was team 1. Team 2 was a slightly smaller team, but this team we had a lot of them came from Clyde Munro, and Clyde Munro have been very, very supportive of our work and has sponsored a lot of volunteers to come and given us a lot of materials and support over the years, and we thank them for that. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see, and those of you who have been before, you will hi, Catherine's just arrived from Belhaven. You'll see George, Jolene and Rafa, our trustworthy and wonderful team from Mbangweni. These guys are absolutely paramount to the success of our work. They, over the years, have learned how we work, what we want to do. They now pre-plan all the clinics that we go to. They let the population know when we're coming. They let the population know where we're going to be and when we're going to be. They crowd control for us. They now give the correct message, oral health message to the audiences, the people waiting, and they are invaluable. We pay them when they join Smileawi, which is fantastic because the salaries that they get from the Mission Hospital can then be used for other things within the Mission Hospital budget, which is really helpful for everyone. So the next slide we are going to. So after our trip in May, when we went round all the dental therapists, discovered all the problems that they needed and all how poor their equipment was, simply by ether, loads and loads of dentists around the country discovered that we were looking for second-hand good quality equipment and materials, and Nigel and I spent, having done a tour of Malawi, we now did a tour of northern of Scotland and northern England, and spent the weekends travelling around picking up second-hand equipment from lots of different places. And you'll see the list of different towns that we've visited. My geography of Scotland has improved dramatically. We would also like to take the opportunity to thank everyone and anyone who's ever given us anything, and absolutely ensure you that it's been used to its best and been very, very worthwhile. Also like to thank the car hire, the van hire, Stuart's Garage, and Eric Witten for lending us vans and for being there for us when we needed help with the travelling, for lifting and carrying. And everything was then taken back to Stracar to the store at the Raven Trust, and was then packed and sorted by the trusty Raven Trust crowd, who took great delight in making sure everything was in the right boxes and going to the right place, and we thank them for that as well.
So once we collected all that equipment, it was important that we could somehow get it out to Malawi. So with the help of the Raven Trust, we hired a container. With the help of the Raven Trust, we also loaded that container. And you can see from this photograph here, they were using a forklift truck to lift up the pallets of dental chairs. We also, within that container, sent out a trailer. And again, this was pretty heavy. We used the forklift truck to lift it up onto the container so that it could be sent out. The trailer has since been used, but I'll explain to you why we were sending it out. In the past, what we had always done was put all of our dental equipment onto the roofs of the vehicles that we were driving out, and that's quite time consuming. Also, you can't really leave it on the roofs because someone could untie it and take it away overnight. So it had to go up on the roof, be used, come down, be used, go back up on the roof, come down, be stored. So having a trailer makes a huge difference. But the trailers are quite heavy, and Vicky and I both were a little bit concerned as to what would happen at the other end. John Challis assured us it would be fine. So here's the story. Unloading the pallets was fairly straightforward. Sheer manpower got it done. There were plenty of Malawian volunteers. If you get enough people round a pallet, even the heaviest pallet suddenly isn't quite so heavy. And they very safely got everything out. You can see in the left-hand picture there, Jerry Dolan is watching carefully as quite a heavy chair gets lifted down. Jerry's from Wright Cottrells, also Sirona Dentsply.
Claims to be the world's best dental engineer.
Claims to be the world's best dental engineer, and actually he might well be. He gave up his annual leave to come out and install the chairs, and we'll give you a bit of detail about that later on as well. But as you can see, that's just the pallets of dental chairs coming out and things like autoclaves and so on. What about the trailer? There was no way we could bring it out that way. But don't worry, the Malawians had an answer to this. We drove the lorry, or the driver drove the lorry about 15 miles south of where we'd unpacked it. Took it down, in fact, to Mzuzu Airport, where there's an embankment. Someone had dug into the side of the embankment, allowing the lorry to be backed up fairly close to it. We then went along to the market, bought 2 planks, and carefully pushed the trailer out. It actually went very, very smoothly, and we've since repeated the process, but we'll talk about that later. There's Jerry, the self-professed greatest dental installation engineer on the planet, fitting an A-deck dental chair in Mzuzu Central Hospital. On the left-hand side, you can see him fitting a floor box. Clive, if you're still watching, you can see that Jerry's suffering from black glove syndrome there. These aren't actually dental gloves. These were thicker, more heavy-duty gloves. So he fitted this dental chair, but he did it along with some biomechanical science students who were studying at that time. You can see them on the right watching. So what happened was we were fitting 3 dental chairs in Mzuzu Central Hospital because Mzuzu Central Hospital is the main referral centre for 6 million people in the north of Malawi. And they had very, very poor equipment. So we decided to put in 3 really good second-hand chairs. Thank you, Dino Lozoides, for those chairs. So you can see Jerry on the right-hand side is showing the biomechanical science students how he's fitting the chair. He then got them to fit the second one with him overseeing it and describing to them what they should be doing. And with the third one, he took a more hands-off approach, basically left them to their own devices, let them fit the chair, and then let them troubleshoot, because when they'd fitted it, it didn't completely work, but he let them troubleshoot and use the logic and everything that he taught them to get it operational. And here's a couple of before and after pictures. Kath Jones on the left-hand side is showing off the old surgery. She went in, saw what state it was in, and gave it a right good clean up. But she would be delighted to see it now. Jerry is sitting rather proudly on the new chair that had just been fitted. And that's going to make a huge difference to Mbangweni Hospital. Mbangweni cannot be reached by tarmac road, so it's in a very remote area. So it's very difficult for them to keep staff there. We are hoping now that the dental surgery is better equipped, that they'll have a better chance of retaining someone there when they can finally hire someone. Currently they have someone goes in and out on a temporary basis, but even that is more successful than what they had before. We do know that good quality equipment does lead to better retention. We discovered that this year. It seems that the dental therapists, when they graduate, they have to do an internship. It's a bit like vocational training in our dentistry. They have to do this internship and they've all been asking if they can go to the northern region. And finally, the head of the school said, "Why do you all want to go to the north? Everybody always wanted to go to Lilongwe or Blantyre in the past." And they said, "Because the equipment's better. We think we'll get a better training." And this is when he discovered that we had been putting equipment into these sites. So we do know that high quality equipment leads to better retention. There's no doubt about it. So by the end of the time that we had spent placing dental chairs, we'd fitted 8 dental chairs in 6 different locations. So the 3 that I've talked about at Mzuzu Central Hospital, 1 at St John's Hospital, 1 really nice chair in Mazimba North Clinic. That's the clinic where Vicky was telling you about Moai, the 6-foot dentist, having to bend over to extract teeth. We fitted 1 in Mazimba South Clinic. That's Bonaventure Jerry's clinic, where there are 600,000 plus patients. 1 at Mbangweni Hospital, very remote area, and 1 in Rumpi District Hospital. And the picture on the left is of me with the dentist Calioto from Rumpi.
So also in May 2018, when we had Jerry and Trevor with us, this is a photograph of us meeting up with the dental therapy students that we support. There are 3 there, Lucicero, Calisius and Adamson, but actually now we have 6 dental therapy students, and we're delighted to say that hopefully coronavirus and other problems hopefully don't get in the way of Lucicero, who is due to graduate in December. If that's the case, he will then go on and do a year's internship, and then he will be working out of Livingstonia Hospital, which is in David Gordon Memorial Hospital in Livingstonia. And he has guaranteed that he'll give us 5 years in that hospital. So that will be a post that will be filled, and we hope to be able to support him there. So we support these guys we pay their fees, and we help them with their living costs and any books and stuff. It's really rewarding to watch them mature and go through college at the moment. One of the other things that we've done, this is one of our achievements and we're really proud of, is that along with the Tafika Youth Organisation, we at Smileawi, with help of some of our volunteers, we funded a kitchen and a toothbrushing centre in Ekwaiweni. And in this place, we, along with the Nourishing Minds, a Geneva-based charity who provide the porridge for the children. It's very much based on the Mary's Meals model. The children come to school every day. If they come to school, they get given a bowl of porridge, but they also are being given toothbrushing lessons. We've provided toothpaste and toothbrushes, and we're hoping to develop it more and for it to become like a sort of Child Smile type centre in the future. So the next slide shows you the children at this centre, and you'll see how many of them there are. You'll see them with their little plastic cups, and these are the ones that get filled with the porridge. You'll see the girl in the centre's got her Child Smile toothbrush and toothpaste, and you'll also notice that they're all wearing the same school uniforms, and these are Kern Primary School uniforms, which we managed to send in the Smileawi container and sent to Ekwaiweni, and we're so overwhelmed when we went to the village and all the children were wearing our local primary school uniforms. So in September 2018, we had another successful trip. Again, we've got a little thing in the corner, but we've also got some returning dentists, volunteers. We have Holly Fraser, who came from Drimmen, and we have Martin from Birmingham and Chloe from Clyde Monroe. And it's also, we have our Smileawi spanners, Alan Stewart there with us. The other thing that we like to do, and the photograph on the upper right hand side shows us thanking Cranberry, who have, along with Premier UK, given us lots and lots of gloves that we've been using, and we couldn't do these jobs without them. So thank you to them as well. And I think we have Katie Crawford in there as well. I don't know if she's with us, but she has also been one of our returning volunteers. Okay, next slide. So in 2018, this was one of the most grounding things that happened to us. We were in St Anne's, which is on the lake shore. It's a Catholic mission hospital, and we were packing up to leave. And then this guy arrived with a large swelling which was closing his left eye. We had to unpack our equipment and reopen our boxes and to treat this man. And we managed to drain the abscess and extract the tooth that was causing the problem. But the thing that really struck home was after this guy had left, we were then talking to the Arnold, who's the clinical officer who's in charge of the clinical side of St Anne's Hospital, and he was very, very anxious to get advice about how to treat guys like this patient. And the reason for that was that he had been in post for 6 months, and within that 6-month period, he had had 2 patients with similar symptoms who had died of the dental infection. And so that for us was a very, very grounding experience, and made us realise how important that our being there was to educate people and how important the removal of teeth and how dangerous dental infection can be in these areas and situations. So June 2019 was a completely different path we went on. We have been working closely with Professor Jeremy Bagg of the Glasgow Dental Hospital, and with Professor David Conway, Professor Lorna McPherson of the Public Health in Glasgow Dental Hospital. They have been involved in the Maldent project, which some of you will know is the creation of a dental school, and they have successfully started a dental school in Blantyre in Malawi. But part of that, they also want to improve the oral health of the country, and they asked us to help them with an oral health survey. So it's something we've been wanting to do, and so we took with us in June a group of dental students, final 4th year dental students from Glasgow Dental School, 5 from Glasgow Dental School, 1 from Dundee Dental School. We also took Connor O'Brien, who's a Max Fax oral surgeon in the dental school, and his son Daniel. And we went to 6 different primary schools, and we saw over 2,600 school pupils between the ages of 5 and 12. We had a survey that had been designed by David Conway and Lorna McPherson, and we'd all been trained, NDIP trained to, calibrated, sorry. We'd been calibrated so that we all gave the same answers, and we filled out all the forms to measure their DMF, their, if they had fluorosis, if they had cleft palates. We asked them questions about their living conditions, their oral health experience, whether they had toothbrushes, toothpaste, and we collated and recorded all this information, which we then in the evenings went back and put onto computers, and which then when we came home we gave to the universities, and they are now collating it all, and hopefully the results should be published quite soon. This is hopefully then going to be part of a national oral health survey, which will help with the Maldent project and the production of an oral health policy within Malawi, which is a massive step forward in the improvement of the services there in Malawi. So thank you to all the dental students who we now believe have all been
except for Dundee,
except for poor Abby and Dundee. The 5 from Glasgow University have all been have all passed and are now BDS. So welcome to the dental world, our kittens, our Malawian kittens. So the biggest ever volunteer trip ever, and loads of you are in the audience, was our 2019 volunteer trip. We had in group 1 21 volunteers, which was a massive logistical nightmare for Nigel and I, but we managed every day to split into 3 teams. We went to 3 different places. We saw masses of patients. We helped loads and loads of people, and we had a great time. We then had another group, much smaller but equally successful, and we saw more patients. We saw lots more people, and it was fantastic. We held our annual, our biannual now conference, and we were delighted to be joined by a group from Bridge to Aid, who we are hoping to do a pilot study in Malawi, which was due to happen this June. However, due to the current problems, it's been cancelled, and we will await with bated breath when we can help them with their pilot to try out their model that they do in Tanzania in Malawi, and should be very helpful to the Malawian dental situation. So Smileawi spanners, we've left them to now. Smileawi spanners is all down to our friend and a patient of our practice, Alan Stewart, who in 2018, when he just retired and sold his business, a garage in Dunoon, came to me and said, "Oh, do you think you could use a retired mechanic?" And I said, "Yes, we can use you. We can train you up as a dental nurse. Why don't you come along?" By the end of that day, he'd signed up, and by the end of the week, we had decided that he was going to be much more useful with his mechanical skills rather than his dental nursing skills. So when we went out in May, as well as fitting all the dental chairs and sorting out all the equipment, we also asked around the hospitals to find out if they thought a mechanic would be of use to them, and they were delighted. So he joined us in September 2018 and managed on his own to put 5 vehicles back on the road. These vehicles, hospital ambulances, which will take people backwards and forwards, go to emergencies. Most of them had been off the road for at least 3 years.
3+ years, yeah.
Alan has joined us again two other occasions, and this year he joined us with our biggest group ever. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to stay the whole time because he had a little accident, fell into a pit and had damaged his ankle and his knee, and we had to send him home. But luckily, we had the great Gus with us, who's you see in the right hand corner, who took orders from Alan, and between them they managed to put another 7 vehicles back on the road. So Smileawi spanners, who have had great support from Arnold Clark and other mechanical people, are growing as we speak, and are now a huge part of the Smileawi project.
So, I said we would talk a little bit about our plans for the future. We can't rest in our laurels, we know that. It's important that we keep evolving. And this is our current huge plan. Highland Health Board were kind enough to donate this mobile dental clinic that you can see. It had been sitting in Mull, next to one of their PDS clinics, and wasn't really being used very much. It's in cracking condition. I'll let you see a little bit more of the inside of it. It's in really nice condition, but it wasn't being used. So they asked us if we would take it. I must be honest, if we didn't have Smileawi spanners on board, I think we would have been a bit more nervous about it. But Vicky and I and Alan went to Mull, had a look at it, and he said it's in really good condition. Yes, you should take this. So currently it's parked in the driveway of our dental practice. It requires a little bit of work, and the hope is, COVID-19 allowing, that we can send it out early next year. We've got lots of plans of how we might use it. Our hope in June, if we'd gone out with Bridge to Aid, was to talk to all our partners out there and work out how best we can use it. We feel that this is a really, really worthwhile project. We don't just have this truck, we also have been offered one that's sitting in Isla. We haven't seen it yet. The plan was to go in about 2 weeks' time, but that's unfortunately had to be cancelled. But we'll see that at some point over the next few months, and assuming that it's in reasonable condition, we'll hopefully be sending 2 of these trucks out. So big plans for the future in terms of mobile dental clinics. We also propose to continue supporting our existing dental therapists. We have seen that that's been successful. We would like to start supporting them in other regions. So we've been very supportive of those therapists in the north. We'd like to start looking at the central region and eventually the southern region as well, if possible. We want to try and recruit more students. We have 6 at the moment, as Vicky says, by the end of this year. COVID-19 allowing, we may have only 5, so we hopefully will have space for some more. We are looking for individuals to sponsor these students. Perhaps dental practices might want to be involved in that. The approximate cost of supporting a student per year, including some living expenses, is about £1,200, so approximately £100 per month. And most dental surgeries could probably
maybe not
fundraise for that.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, perhaps not at the moment. Yeah, good point. We also want to continue with our annual volunteering trips. We do feel that they are very important. We are trying to spread out to visit villages we've not been to before. We're trying to go to more areas and cover more different areas. We now have a total of 9 portable dental chairs, so we can easily split into 3 teams. As Vicky said earlier on, you can have 3 teams, maybe even 4 dentists in each team. So there are lots of possibilities for us to really get out there and get to the population that need the treatment most. We're going to continue with all the links that we have. I think one of the most important links is in the top left-hand side with the Maldent project. That has been hugely important. That's looking, as we said earlier, at the future manpower within Malawi. I mean, when you think of 130 dental professionals trying to look after 18 million people, you realise that shortage of manpower is one of the major issues that they have. So we think that project is very, very important, and it has got other implications. As Vicky said, the Maldent project is very, very important in guiding oral health policy in Malawi, something that they have never had before. So it is very, very important. We're really proud of our links with the University of Glasgow. Both of us graduated from there. We're proud of our links with University of Dundee and Strathclyde. Important links to us now are Bridge to Aid and Dentaid. We are very, very pleased to be working with Bridge to Aid towards helping them to introduce, as Vicky said, their model that's been successful in Tanzania into Malawi. Their model in Tanzania is that they train medical officers to do emergency extractions. Those medical officers, if they pass a test after 8 days of quite thorough, intensive days of training, then get a certificate which allows them to extract teeth, and then they go back and check on them to make sure that what they're doing is correct and they're not starting to stretch themselves and try and do more difficult extractions. It's very basic stuff, but it can be helpful. If we think back to the 2 patients who died at St Anne's, and that's just one area of Malawi, you can see that there is a need for emergency dental treatment out there. We're also very proud of our work with Dentaid. It's quite ironic, we actually lend Dentaid the chairs to the Dentaid team who go out to Malawi. They were due to leave in a couple of days' time. Obviously, that's had to be cancelled because of the COVID-19 virus. A lot has had to be cancelled, sadly. We're proud of our work with Strathclyde University. They helped us in the measurement of the fluoride that we did. We're very pleased with what we did with Humble Company. They donated us, thousands of toothbrushes, which we gave out to the children who took part in the oral health survey. And also proud of what our work with 500 Miles Charity and Days for Girls. So we're coming very near to the end. If you want to know a little bit more about us, you can find us on www.smileawi.com. I saw, Nicola, you were keen to be involved, and Ibele was kind enough to to give you vicky@smileawi.com. If any of you want to contact us, you can contact us through our webpage. You can also find us on Facebook. We're at Smileawi 2012. We're on Twitter. Thank you, Clive, for putting up www.smileawi.com. I appreciate that. We're on Twitter at Smileawi, and we've got an Instagram account, again, Smileawi. We were due to take part in the postponed Kilt Walk in Glasgow 2020. That was going to be a big fundraiser for us this year. You can actually still go on until the 31st of March and make a donation if you would like to. When you go onto our Smileawi page, you'll find that we were linked with wonderful.org. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, they have had to close down because they rely entirely on volunteers. So sadly, wonderful.org won't exist very soon. It really is unfortunate, but we'll find another organisation who can collect money for us, etc. So that, I think, it brings us to the end of it. And I've just discovered from Clive that we can replay the webinar. I can assure you I never will. We'd like to thank you all for your attention. Just one more time, we'd like to thank Clive for giving us the opportunity to give this webinar. We're very, very grateful. It really has been fun. And it's been lovely recognising some names on there of people who are watching who've been out with us before. It's been super.
Thank you all for listening.
And thanks for that kind comment, David. And lovely to spend some time with you. Stay safe and stay sane.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.